We don't get a lot of theater exclusive merch up here in Canada, but somehow, some way, the tins and cups and figurines made it up here, so that's already a plus. This video will not have any spoilers for Godzilla Kong: The New Empire. I just got back from the movie theater after watching this movie with my friends and decided here is my pure, raw first impressions slash review of the movie. Following a whole swath of movie critic reviews comparing this film to Godzilla Minus One in ways that I don't feel are genuine or fair, I think that there's an analogy to describe how this movie fits into Godzilla's cinematic climate in a way that works with Minus One and can be adjacent to Minus One. Gordon Ramsay, a world-famous celebrity chef, has gone on record saying that two of the things that he would eat as his final meal include his famous beef Wellington, which I think earned him his first or second Michelin star, as well as a burger from In-N-Out Burger, which I've never had, but I'd love to try sometime. And I would say that Godzilla Minus One is the beef Wellington in this analogy, where Godzilla Kong: The New Empire is the In-N-Out Burger. I really enjoyed this movie. I felt as though I was watching a high-budget Hollywood version of the Showa Godzilla movies that I grew up with and got to love the franchise through. That's not to say that everything is perfect. There are some things with the movie that I don't really care for. Again, not to get into spoiler territory, but we can talk about it a little bit more broadly. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the things I actually really liked about this movie. For me, the biggest thing with this movie is how the filmmakers were able to tell a compelling story through Kong's perspective, where they're not saying words, there's no language, but you can tell what the characters, how they're interacting with their environments, how they're interacting with each other. And, you know, are they being honest with one another? Are they trying to deceive one another? The way they were able to do that with Kong, I thought was really, really well done. And I wanted to see more of it, actually. I shared a common complaint of Godzilla vs. Kong with many other folks who said that the Hollow Earth didn't really feel alive in that movie, and I felt as though this movie did a lot to remedy that. It felt like a world within our world. It felt very vibrant as Kong gets taken on this path toward where the Scar King is holding his people. You see these undiscovered, these new areas that Kong's never been that are also teeming with all kinds of different life, but also some that we've seen before in prior MonsterVerse movies. I was kind of worried that Zuko was going to be used as a mascot and as something that was going to be mostly there to push merchandise like Baby Yoda or BB-8, but I actually really liked how Zuko was used in this movie, and I thought he was great in almost every scene that he was used in. For the human cast, I feel like they all do a really great job, though I will say that Brian Tyree Henry's character, Bernie, his style of comedy can be a little heavy-handed at times, and there were some times where I felt like I was rolling my eyes when I was supposed to be laughing, and it didn't take me out of the movie, but it was kind of like, okay, Bernie, like, let's move on. Dan Stevens as Trapper, I actually really enjoyed. I thought he was pretty cool. He reminded me a little bit of the Crocodile Hunter, you know, may he rest in peace. And if you haven't seen anything past trailers 1 and 2 for this movie, there is so much that you haven't seen packed into this film, which I really am glad that I tried so hard to avoid all the promotional material that's out there. Now, last week I posted a video theorizing that Scar King might have been a red herring of sorts, and while I'm not going to tell you whether or not my guesses or my theories were correct as to how he would be handled in this film, what I will tell you is that the way Scar King was handled in this movie, I did not feel cheapened out by. I liked how Scar King was executed. I liked how Shima was executed. And this isn't really a spoiler. It'll make sense once you watch the movie. Shima was the best puppy. Things I didn't like as much in this film. One is, I've seen this comparison or analogy online that Kong is the protagonist of the MonsterVerse while Godzilla is the mascot. I forget who said it online, you know, I'm sorry. And some of the usual movie reviewers that I go to on YouTube, they were also giving a similar vibe that Godzilla's role in the movie was downplayed. While Kong does get the lion's share of screen time and of really deep character moments, I still felt that Godzilla's presence was known throughout the film, and I felt like he earned his place in the title of the movie. But if there was a little bit more Godzilla, yeah, that would have been cool too. I will say that the final battle in this movie is longer than the final battle with Mechagodzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong, but I did feel a little bit like the fight with Mechagodzilla was a more satisfying fight to watch than the final conflict in this movie. That's not to say that the final fight in this movie was bad. It's definitely a treat for the eyes. It just lacked some of the oomph and the weight that the fight with Mechagodzilla had. And I do come away from the movie feeling a little bit like Evolved Godzilla could solo Scar King and Shimo, but Kong definitely has his moments to shine during the fights in this movie. There are two moments in the movie where it feels like there are very convenient plot devices to sort of move things along. One of these has to do with Kong's Beast Glove. It feels like the explanation and then the implementation of the Beast Glove happen almost at like breakneck speed. Like it happens so quickly that it does take you out of the film a little bit. Like it's like, how of course this is happening. The other moment being that resolution to Kong and Godzilla's moment of conflict in Egypt that I felt was over very, very quickly, and they resolved their differences in a way that didn't really feel that organic to me. At 115 minutes, I feel like a few more minutes could have been used to bolster these two sections and reinforce them a little bit, make them a little bit more solid. But that's going to do virtually nothing for the people that go into this movie deciding that they don't like it. So on a scale from day one watch to skip entirely, if you are a Godzilla fan, if you are a kaiju fan, you like to go watch popcorn blockbusters, I would put this movie solidly within like watch as soon as possible range. Maybe watch it at a discount if you have family and small children that you want to go see it with. Maybe not too small of children, because there's a surprising amount of gore in this movie. But it's a fun time. It's not going to be the most compelling movie. It's not going to be anything like -1, nor should it be. But I do think that there will be a generation of people who come to love Godzilla in the same way that I did, and many folks like me did, when we watched those Showa movies. I will also take this opportunity to say that if you are letting Rotten Tomatoes dictate whether or not you should see this movie, you are barking up the wrong tree. I'll try to give you folks a fair amount of time to go and see the movie for yourself before I talk anything about spoilers, and I'll make it very, very clear when we are going to be talking spoilers about Godzilla Kong, because I think that you should watch this movie. It's a really fun time. So have you seen this movie? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Keep it spoiler free for the folks that haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I'd like to thank all of the Category 3 channel members for their continued support, as well as everyone else that watches, likes, and comments on my videos. Your support is appreciated as always. Twitter and Discord links are in the description. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.